are back. Thank you so very much for staying with us. And in case you're just joining us, welcome to Kenya's Gold, where the focus of the program today is to learn so much on what we can all collectively do for a cleaner, better, and greener environment. And to shed more light on that, as I promised you earlier, I do have my young gentlemen with me right here in studio. For my far right, we have Levi Sogude, and we also do have Chris Kimathi. Welcome to Kenya's Gold, and they will be talking to us a lot more on this traditional beehive and the importance of bees to our ecosystem. And we also have Mr. Geoffrey and Malale. Welcome to Kenya's Gold again. And they will be talking to us a lot more on all matters growing trees. I was almost about to say planting trees. Nikakumbuka muneza hata nichuna hapa kwa set kwa sababu muliniambia I should never say plant trees.
Yes,
we say
we growing trees.
Not plant trees.
We grow trees.
No planting, Cindy.
Yeah.
All right, so Ugi, just tell me, why should I not say plant trees?
Because it's not a one-time thing. It's a process. So you plant a tree, you nurture it, you grow it. So it's a process that requires monitoring. It requires evaluation. It's a long-time thing. Right. So when we say plant, it's like nimepanda, nimemaliza. But now it's a process. Right.
Yeah. So sometimes we form groups, even in our social circles with friends, and we say, today we are going to go to this particular area, kila mtu ako na seedling, we grow, we plant it, and then we disappear and never go back to that particular place. Hapo tumekosea.
That umeplant trees. Na tunataka ugrow trees. Yeah.
So hii tabia yetu ya kwenda tu tunaekelea seedling and then we disappear from that area.
We actually encourage people to even name your trees. So that you can go back and look at it. You know, it feels good when you go to a place and you see this tree was planted by Ngina.
Ama uipatie jina mtu wako.
Yeah.
Nikipia jina mtu wangu nitarudi hapo all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for that. So mesikia pale nyumbani, we are not planting trees, we are growing trees. Now I'll come to you, Mr. Malale. Yesterday we did celebrate World Environment Day. And as a young person, I'd like to hear from you what this day really means to you. And sisi kama mavijana, what can we do about this particular day? Because normally utaona ni kama tu it's only the environment activists who are very keen about this day. They'll talk about this day, and every other person ni kama we take a step back and leave it to specific people to do the work. So how can we young people participate in World Environment Day? Na wewe umefanya nini kuhusu World Environment Day?
Okay, that's nice. So first and foremost, I would like to say that the key goal of celebrating the World Environment Day is actually to tackle the triple planetary crisis, to which we believe number one is climate change, then pollution. So yesterday we were tackling the issue to do with pollution. How can we solve these issues that are actually affecting us? Because number one, we find that we have so many polluted water suburbs. Apart from that, the environment is also polluted. So as young people, how can we come out to see how we are tackling the issues on pollution? There are so many opportunities that come out from that discussion and that conversation. I, as a person, have really enjoyed my yesterday event, which was in Tharaka-Nithi, to which we were able to plant some good number of fruit trees in institutions.
You said plant.
Yes,
a good
plant and grow. Plant and grow. You plant, then afterwards you do what? You grow. The good thing about it is that once you have planted the tree, we're able now to grow, to assess the progress of the tree, to see the tree maturing and actually becoming something that at least will, when you come back, you're able now to say, I planted that tree.
How many trees did you grow yesterday? Yesterday,
I was able to plant and to grow 10 trees.
10 trees?
Yes, and fruit trees. Why fruit trees? Because of the food security aspect. Because at the end of the day, we are really talking about economic empowerment among the youths. So how can we get empowered economically? And this is one of the tackles that we are able now to get ourselves empowered. Because at the end of the day, we're not just planting to combat the effects of climate change, but we are planting so that at least now at the end of the day we have that fruit. That mango fruit, that avocado fruit, we're able to sell it and we're empowered economically.
Good. Thank you so very much for that. And I'm here with now Levis and Chris. Remember, he ni traditional beehive.
Yeah.
Right? Mtu akiangalia without paying too much attention, anaweza dhani leo Kenya's Gold tumeleta a log of wood in the studio. Please talk to us about this. Alafu pia najua kuna the modern ones, the modern beehives, which I've actually even seen thanks to you previously. Please tell me, Sai, where we are as a country, what are people using more? Is it the modern one? Is it the traditional ones? What are you also recommending as young people in this space?
Okay, thank you very much for this splendid opportunity that's already given me. And as the statistics stands today, Kenya stands at the annual production of honey in this country stands at 17 metric tons. And out of that, 80% of that 17 million metric tons comes from the logs, beehives.
The traditional ones?
The traditional ones.
Okay.
And we find that, but our honey consumption in this country is about 47 million metric tons.
And we're only producing?
And we're only producing 17 metric tons. So you find that this is a big venture for young people who can come out. I myself am a beekeeper.
Right.
We keep as an organization, and that is what we're encouraging our young people outside in this country of ours to engage in this beekeeping. It is economic value, whereby young men can be creating job opportunities. Like our Smart Foundation, that's what we're encouraging our young people across the country. Because wafanyikazi wako walipi. Ukiweka hii mzinga, nyuki hata kwa neighbor, hata kwa yule neighbor msikizani, nyuki kanakimbia huko, kanachukua nectar, kanakuja kanakuwekea wapi? Kanakuwekea hapa. Kwa hivyo hapa ukiweka hii mzinga kwa mti, nyuki wanakuleta, wewe unaendelea na kazi zako tu. But now the bees, they are the one now to do the rest of the work.
Right.
Yours is just go and harvest. And that's what we are encouraging our young people in this country to venture into beekeeping, because 80% of the honey that we produce in this country, we normally import.
Right.
So it is a big venture, and even the local market, we cannot meet the local market. So we are encouraging our young people outside there, our youth ambassadors across this country, to come out and do this practice.
Right.
Thank you.
Wewe umesema unaweka nyuki pia wewe, sio? Yeah. And do you using this traditional or the modern beehives?
Unajua, before smacks iniokoe, before okoke, before okoe lazima ukue unataka kutubu dhambi. So mimi smacks walinirealize kutoka Tharaka-Nithi pale. Na wakaona mimi I'm one of the biggest beekeeper in that county. So mimi zangu kama hizi niko na almost 100 beehives and logs. These are log.
Right.
And the less now smacks imenisaidia modernize, improvise now to come up with the modern type of beekeeping. That's what I'm doing. Thank you.
Let's talk to me about nikieka these logs. All right, we're already learning the importance of bees, even when it comes to pollination and all that, and honey. Lakini hapa tutakata miti, tukate miti, so that we have these logs, right? Yes. And deforestation is one of the biggest problems we are facing in the country.
Sure.
It's contributing to climate change. So where as you play your part in having as many beehives and encouraging more young people to have beehives, what is your compensation back to the environment?
Yeah. So just to note that these log hives, most of them are located deep in the indigenous communities, in the Asal regions. And as Chris had mentioned, like 17 metric tons of honey is what we produce as a country. And from that, 80% is produced by the indigenous beekeepers who are using these log hives. Like, for example, in the semi-Asal areas like Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, and West Pokot is where you find most of these. They have huge tracts of land, they have forests, and most of these, as you can see, they are from the indigenous trees. So those trees are the ones that have overgrown the big trees. So if you take like a tree, this is just like a branch. You cut it, from one branch you can do like 5 hives. And all the beehives are made from trees, even the modern ones.
Yes.
Yes. So by cutting that tree, through our climate action initiatives, we also encourage to grow more. We have adopted forests just to replace the trees that we cut. Like right now, this year, during the World International Day of Forests, we're able to grow 100,000 trees in Chepalungu. But if you compare those numbers, the hives we've donated for this year are like 120 hives. If you compare it to the trees we've grown this year, 100,000 trees. So at least we are in a better place.
So as you cut some to make some beehives, you're also growing a lot more than what you're cutting.
Yeah, sure.
And I believe that should be the call to action to everyone who's in the business of beehives. Ukikata, unapanda.
Sure.
Great. I have a question for you, Mr. Ugi. Are we at risk of losing our indigenous trees? Kwa sababu utasikia msema, most of these are from the ASL communities. They have those indigenous forests. Zinatoka huko. And also what we are growing a lot more is the hybrid trees. It's okay, you're still growing trees, but is there any future repercussions if we lose all our indigenous trees?
Yeah. In reality, it's true that most of the trees that we're planting and growing are the exotic, the fruit trees, and the best thing with, if you look at this country, for example, in Kenya, most of the natural forests are very, very protected. I don't know if you know that. But if you look at the planted forests that we have, they're the ones that we do have harvesting happening each now and then. For example, the cypress trees are harvested after a certain period of time. But people who come from areas, for example, I grew up in an area with lots of forests, and they're going to tell you the natural forests are very protected in this country. And the best thing about them is by the value that they are natural trees, most of them are indigenous, they have the ability to regrow, you know, once the seed fall to the ground, they are able to reproduce by themselves. And then it's also logging of most indigenous trees is illegal in this country. You're going to get, it's against the law. Yeah, so it's true we have that risk because, of course, deforestation is happening in this country, but I'm glad that the ministry and the government is still doing its part in trying as hard as it can to protect
our indigenous trees.
Yeah.
All right, and also the specific ones that are there for commercial purposes, right? Thank you so much for that. And with that, it's time for us to take our second break. When we come back, we are going to get into details of this bag down here. Mimi nilikuwa nadhani ni luku ya kwenda huko nje nitese, but ni mambo iko na kazi. Alafu hizi pia zinakaa mitishamba. We'll tell you what they are for when we come back from this break.